fish and 5 loaves of bread. After the miracle, feeding of the 5,000, Jesus had gone to the other side of the lake. But the 5,000 people remained, hoping Jesus would return, but he didn't. Still obsessed with the miracle, the bread was very much on their minds, so they asked Jesus for a sign. They assumed Jesus was a prophet, so they asked him to perform a sign like Moses, where manna, a sticky bread-like substance, had miraculously provided the Israelites with food as they had wandered for 40 years. Jesus said to them, "Very truly I tell you, it is not Moses who has given you bread from heaven, but it is the Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is the bread that comes down from heaven and gives life to the world." "Sir," they said, "always give us this bread." John 6, 32 through 34. People still assumed that Jesus was like a prophet, like Moses. Moses was considered responsible for the manna from heaven, while Jesus was seen as responsible for making 5 loaves of bread feed more than 5,000 people. But Jesus was about to turn that concept on his head when he said, "I am the bread of life." There are several symbolic elements at play here. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, which means house of bread. Bread is often used as a peace offering, and Jesus is the Prince of Peace. Most symbolic, however, is Jesus being offered up as an offering. In the book of Numbers, we read, "The Lord said to Moses, 'Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land to which I am taking you, and you eat the food of the land, present a portion of it as an offering to the Lord. Present a loaf from the first of the ground meal, and present it as an offering from the threshing floor. Throughout the generations to come, you are to give this offering to the Lord from your first of the ground meal." Numbers 15, 17 through 21. The process of threshing involved the separation of the wheat to the chaff. As the grain was tossed into the air, the chaff would be blown away, leaving the good wheat to land on the threshing floor. The wheat on the threshing floor was good, and it was made into bread and then offered to God throughout the generations. When Jesus said, "I am the bread of life," he was identifying himself as the bread to be offered to the Father. Truly and properly God, and truly and properly man. His body was made from the dust of the ground and broken before being given back to God. For us, bread is something that nourishes us. Bread often has a place at our dinner table. It is a very integral part of our meal. For the people of Israel, bread was an even bigger part of their meal. When Jesus said, "I am the bread of life, whoever comes to me will never go out hungry. Whoever believes in me will never be thirsty," they understood this in a very literal sense. Jesus, of course, was giving us a very solid spiritual principle and truth. I am nourishment to your spiritual hunger. During World War II, countless people imprisoned in German concentration camps were starved to the point of malnutrition. I have never been starved, and perhaps the Jews in the concentration camps had never been starved until this point. Totally relying on their captors for food, masters that gave them very little food because they didn't care about the Jewish prisoners. When World War II came to an end, the Allies brought food to the now released prisoners. They were curious as they observed the children taking bread that they had given to them, and not eating it. Rather, the children took the bread to bed and slept long and hard, because the relief knowing that they would have food when they woke up. When we are spiritually starving, we are giving ourselves up to masters that have no care for us. We allow ourselves to become prisoners where sin will have its way with us. We will struggle with rest. But if you look at Jesus, the bread of life, we will never be hungry again. We will be spiritually nourished and refreshed. We live in a world that constantly gives us empty feelings, unsatisfactions. We chase fleeting pleasures like career success, material wealth, social status, only to find ourselves hungry for something deeper. Jesus recognizes this universal hunger. He invites us to come to him, acknowledging that true fulfillment is not found in the things of the world, but in a true relationship with him. In researching for this, I found this illustration. Imagine a traveler wandering through the desert, searching his pockets for a water bottle. No matter how much sand he sifted through, he could not quench his thirst. The things we do provide us temporary satisfaction, but in fact leave us thirstier than we began. Jesus stands as an oasis in our desert, promising that whoever comes to me will never be hungry or thirsty again. You see, Jesus doesn't just simply offer sustenance. He extends an invitation. Whosoever comes to me. This is an open call, a reminder that no one is excluded from his grace. We need only to take a step towards him. Coming to Jesus involves vulnerability and acknowledgement, our needs and our limitations. Belief is essential. When we place our trust in him, we open ourselves to the possibility of transformation. It is believing that we begin to experience fulfillment in his life promises. Thinking about the prodigal son, he wandered far from home, seeking fulfillment in reckless living, only to discover that true joy awaited him at his father's door. When he returned, he found not judgment. He found open arms. Similarly, Jesus welcomes us back, ready to nourish our hungry souls. And Jesus identifies himself as the bread of life. He is offering us more than a momentary relief from hunger. He is offering us daily sustenance that we need. Jesus, just as we cannot live on bread alone, but require a balanced diet, our spiritual lives also require a constant feeding in the Word, prayer, and community. I have a few challenges for you all. Number one, daily bread. Make it a practice to spend time with Jesus in daily scripture. Let the word of the Lord nourish you. Number two, prayer. Engage in heartfelt prayer, inviting Jesus into your daily struggles and joy. Number three, community. Surround yourself and your family with fellow believers who will encourage you and uplift you on your journey. Jesus, the bread of life, invites us to feast on grace, love, and mercy. He calls us to come to him, to believe in him, and to discover that in him we will never hunger or thirst again. Let us accept this invitation, embrace our dependence on him, and share this nourishment with a world that is desperately searching for fulfillment. As we go forth, we should remember, the more we partake in the bread, the more we are equipped to share that bread. As we conclude our time together, I want to extend a heartfelt invitation. Jesus said, I am the bread of life. If you find yourself hungry, I'm like my mom. If you find yourself hungry for something more peace, more fulfillment, more hope, today is the day. Come eat.